It's like peak summertime right now. Insanely hot out. Actually, it's not that bad. It's only like 90 degrees. But it's hot enough, and we are gonna head up the mountain because most stuff down here is done for the season, and then we just be waiting for stuff to come on in the fall. But if we go up in elevation, things will be like at their peak. I'm looking for, well, I know where I'm going. We're going to get Yarrow, St. John's Wort, maybe some horsemen, kick around, see what else is there. So, you know the drill, it's going to be a little bit of a drive up the mountain, so off we go. Up, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be hotter out here, although it's gone down from 90 to 84. Just depends. And it's tourist season, so there's a bunch of people on this highway that don't know how to drive on this highway. That can be, doesn't make it hotter in any way, it just can be slower or dangerous. I always like this little stretch right here. A bunch of houses hidden back there. It's just super like meadowy in between the pines. Monastery. I don't know what they do besides monastery things. I know there's no girls allowed. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can go to the church, but old school wildfire truck. They must have repurposed that one. What's funny is when you get up into here, it's all like, you know, wild and beautiful, but right about here, pretty much all the way to the top is a fucking HOA. And so like if you live up here, they can like tell you that you can't have a dog that barks, or that you can't have roosters, or just the stupidest stuff. Because forever ago, a group of like, well, rich people came in and bought a little section out for their cabins, and then it just kind of like extended. So like half of the houses up here are like empty in the summertime, but then the ones that stay behind are real grumpy people, and they force a lot of restrictions on people. And we lived up here for a time, and it was absolutely crazy, the level of like, I don't know, it was just, you would not expect it. You would not expect it living up on this mountain that you had to like follow HOA rules. And it's such a bummer because stuff comes up here for sale that's decent, you know, affordable kind of, and you just can't do it because you know the HOA is going to be all over your ass and make you pay fees. You know, it's just crazy. To the top here. Stupid place to park. I just mean they could have come off the highway, or not not the park and the turnout. Up here, it's not horrible. Hear the June bugs singing. All this has been logged off and on over the years. Opens it up a lot, for good or bad, but a lot of stuff moves in. All those stinking daisies right there, those are daisies. You can't see them because they don't have flowers, but they stink like rotten flesh so bad. We've had like tourists come up here and like report they think they smell a body. They don't realize they're like camped next to a patch of the stinking daisies. Not that there aren't bodies up here, don't get me wrong, but I mean there probably are bodies everywhere if you think about it. I see lots of baby elderberries moving in this year. That was a poke root even right there. I hadn't seen her up this far before, so we're going somewhere specific. We're not just driving by to look at it. But I always watch because, you know, different things move in over the years. There's a ton of horse mint, but English shoes going to be here. Look at that, all those blooms down there. That's all horse mint. All on the road here, horse mint, no horse mint. You could choke a horse. The only reason that this time of year I wouldn't gather near the road here is because of the dust. Now, there's a lot of context behind gathering like near a road or back from the road by like 100 yards. just really depends on the road and how often it's traveled, you know. St. John's Wort. She's not even blooming all the way. I was worried I was gonna miss her. Let's see. Yeah, it's all right. It used to be a way bigger patch. There's a big patch over here, though. I'm just wanting to. All the onions are done for. We knew that, but we have found mushrooms up over in this little corner in July before. It's the craziest thing. Should we go down to the bottom and back up? We have found morel mushrooms up here in July, like up in this secret little patch up here. Not a ton, you know, but. See that like bare clay soil? That's why I have a hard time gardening at my place. But we have Paiute loam, and that means the yarrow is nice and healthy up here this year. That means that my soil is silt and clay put together, which means it's concrete. I've almost gotten to the point where it's been 5 years of working to amend it and doing everything that I can, that I've almost just kind of been like, all right, land, I hear you. I'm not from the place of garden. I'm from the place of wildcraft. And so I'm kind of to the point where I might just let the concept of gardening go, which is weird for me. But it's something that I've been thinking about, because I guess if I just put all that energy back into like wildcrafting, I could probably take in just as much food as I could grow, albeit it would be different types of food. I mean, I'd still do like kale takes hold and things like that, but you know, I'm just thinking out loud. Lots of pennistomes, which people always hope are skullcap, but not here in Northeast Oregon. And even though we're not gathering obviously right from the road here, I can see who's doing well. Just smelled weed. Which wouldn't surprise me. But it's funny because we're in Oregon, so like, I don't know why people like hide their grows anymore. Fair amount of paintbrush growing, which is good for hair. Butterfly. Tons of horse mint. Look at all that horse mint. We'll get out and look at stuff too. We're just driving on down the road first. Horse mint, and some more horse mint. I mean, she's good. I mean, if you like mint, she's a good one, and you can use her topically for like pain as well. She makes a really good infused oil or a liniment, which is just like, think about making a tincture, but instead of using alcohol that you can ingest, use rubbing alcohol, and that's a liniment. And then you only want to use that topically. But you could do that with horse mint, and she works really well. What I haven't seen is any arnica. Most of the trees up here are like white spruce, subalpine fir, and she's a unique one, also called, you know, patusue. And then we also have a fair amount of tamarack, red fir, pines, yellow pine too, although there's not a whole lot of yellow pine in the stand. A lot of those are huckleberries up in there. paintbrush. Ton of yarrow right there. There's a spring down here. That's where we're driving to. There's a big old yew tree right there. Lots of thimbleberries up here. They're tasty, but actually, I mean, they don't really have that much taste compared to like a raspberry, and they're super mushy and soft, so like you can't really gather them. They just mash in your bucket or whatever, so just kind of, and they only get like 5 berries per plant because they only kick out a berry on the top. Trail berry, that's what they are. Lots of currants. Alright, we're gonna stop here and walk around and see what we can find. Which is the spring right over here, still running into the mud hole. We can look at this beautifully clean. No, it's fine. It's a spring-fed pond and it's midsummer, but you can hear it. I mean, that's where they're feeding the spring out of. But the thing to know about when you find a spring is that it doesn't mean that water is safe to drink. And don't be afraid of springs, but do a little bit of investigation. Like, let's walk up this spring line and see what's happening. So you can see that this is where it used to flow over pretty recently, I think, right? Yeah. You can see where the water's seeping out right here. Where'd that box go? Did they move the box? Make myself look like a liar. They moved the box. Usually, see, I was gonna be a smartass and show you that. Usually what it is there's a box right here, and then the creek just flows into the box, but it's not closed in. But this one's closed in now. But it's unfortunate because they used black ABS plastic. It's not food safe. They shouldn't have used the black plastic. They should have used the white plastic. But usually they had like a box right here, and it looks like they buried it in. Looks like they buried it in, and then usually what it was just a box catching the water and then shutting down, but above it was all open. So you wouldn't want to drink that if the water above it is open. There's a single arnica. Right over there. We were just talking earlier about how it's odd that there wasn't a lot of arnica popping off up here, because usually it's like a ton. Usually there's a ton. Little heartleaf arnica. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess what's a bummer is that it didn't use food grade plastic and used black ABS plastic, which is for like the septic and stuff, by the way. You're not meant to drink out of that. So I guess it's cool that they fixed it, but it's a bummer that they didn't, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, they shifted it, didn't they? Because it used to come down from that other side. Like, it's just crazy because they would have had to bury this in. I think it's been a year or two since we've been up here. They had to have done the work to bury that line. Why would you do all that work without using the right type of plastic? It was probably Forest Service and they weren't thinking about making it drinkable for people. Maybe just trying to control the water. So it's the middle of July right now, but way up here on the mountaintop, we have the baby stinging nettle. Right there. Not enough to harvest her, but maybe she'll come in and flourish here, you know? But if I found a good patch right now, I'd take the tops because they're tasty, but she's not even as green as she would be in the spring, but, you know, just because it's warmer out. And it's funny to me because I know that people camp in this particular spot quite a bit, but it's like, why? The level of mosquitoes here at night would be crazy. I don't know if they meant for it to bust out, but it has. And sometimes that changes what grows, right? You know? Lots of Solomon's seal popping up over here. Strawberries. Oh. It's gonna be pearly everlasting when she blooms. Wild licorice. And road. Wild road. I want to say, wasn't this where we randomly came across some like Sitka valerian once? Like that a little patch over. Where? Oh, I thought you said, oh yeah, Monk's Hood, yeah. I was like, where? More pearly everlasting. Couple more arnica, sad looking though. Thimbleberries. None of them are red. These are the stinking daisies that I was talking about. Stink so bad. She doesn't get, those like are her petals. But she doesn't need beauty to draw people in. She's got the smell of corpse on her side. There's a fair amount of clover hiding in here. There's actually some Monk's Hood right there. She just hasn't bloomed yet. Also known as aconite. You can see, I saw some blooming up the way. You can see where it looks like a little monk's hood, right? And you'll notice that I'm not touching her. She has, let me put my hand behind it, that might make it focus. These are gonna turn into like little purple flowers that look like a monk's hood, but she's deadly. People have died from literally touching her, like a heart attack. And what is so crazy is people who practice homeopathic, they'll say, oh, aconite's great for colds. And that's so insane to me. And I know that it's like a super tiny amount, but like aconite is deadly. Like she has been used for a long time to kill people. And so the concept of, even if it's a tiny amount of aconite, why? Why would you use something so toxic? Well, it's because you want to pretend like it's a pharmaceutical. But we'll find her blooming and show you what she looks like, because she's beautiful, but she's deadly. I've been thinking about doing that, like a random series on deadly plants. I think it would be fun, you know? Aconite would be one of them, monk's hood. So she'll pop up here and she'll have these beautiful purple flowers that draw you into her. And now if I touched her, I'm probably not gonna die. But sometimes if you have underlying heart conditions and you mess around with her too much, she's gonna put you down, you know? There are gardeners that have died because they were like, oh, this is beautiful for my garden, and then they touch it and then they die, you know? And it might not be instantly. It could be, you know, a few hours to a few days, depending on how much you absorb through your skin. And it likely happens to, I've noticed people talk about it more to elderly people, and that makes sense because as we age, our skin becomes thinner. So if they're out there, like, I don't know, pulling weeds or doing something in the garden, and they start fucking around with aconite, and then just boom, hit the ground dead. And with all the heart issues going around these days since 2020, she's definitely not someone to play with. So I think we're gonna drive down to the bottom here, see if yarrow is popping off there, gather some yarrow, meander our way back up, go down the road more, go a different way, different thing. That's what we're doing. So, all right. We have tons and tons of usnea here. There is no shortage of usnea, but that means our air is clean. There's that Seco valerian on the side of the road there. Seen one of her. Pearly Everlasting back there was close to blooming. She's usually ready around August. I really like Pearly Everlasting. She's also my husband's favorite herb to gather. That St. John's wort's barely blooming. There's a pitch right there. Must be about a million stinking daisies down there. See, that's what it looks like when they try to shut down the forest roads to people. They come and put berms in, or rocks, or sometimes gates. And that'll get worse. It's already been pretty bad up here. I'd say like 40% of the places we used to be able to go have a berm or a rock or something in the way. You can still walk in, but some of those places are so deep in there, like, unless you had like a horse or four-wheeler or something, it'd be a pretty long walk. There's some wild mallow back there. Fireweed. She's starting to bloom. Elderberry's still blooming.
Might have to come back for some of these.
Oh yeah.
Places are still a little bit rough.
Yeah, we've been like making a mental note of where we see accessible elderberries, because you might notice this in your area or not, but in our area, we're watching like crews go and like specifically target elderberry trees. It's crazy. It sounds like a conspiracy, but like I could drive you around all over right now to all the spots that we've known for years where they have just come and cut those trees down. And it is the oddest tinfoil hat thing. I don't know if you guys remember my video from the spring when the power company came and just like specifically targeted us in like a 10-mile radius and just cut down all of our elderberry and our chokecherry, like tons of medicinal trees. And so we got curious and we started driving around and paying attention to where they had been or where other places were going. We were noticing road crews everywhere, cutting down elderberries and talking with people where the power company or whatever was coming onto their land, deep into their land, nowhere near an elderberry or nowhere near power lines within there, and just cutting down elderberry trees. And I know that just, I don't know, sounds crazy, but it's to the point where we're having to like look at new places to gather because they've decimated all the places. It's a warm 77 up here. We're almost to the end. Bunch of young tamarack growing over there. Also called larch. This is about where the road ends. Hey there. I see you. Strawberry. One little flavorless strawberry. Usually we go that way, but I see yarrow right there. Hanging out with that fireweed. Currants, but they're barely ready. Not even, well, they're still green little tiny berries. Big ol' lush strawberry patch. No, but oh. Strawberry. You got stung by something, didn't you? Let me have a look. Give me that camera. On your hand?
It's on your back.
On your back? You alright? I don't see a stinger. Might have bit you. So, aside from my husband getting assaulted, here's a nice little patch of yarrow right here. And then fireweed over here. She's just starting to bloom. The other ones haven't even followed suit. You can tell that summer has just started because fireweed, she blooms her way up throughout the season. So by the time you get to the top, that's how you know fall's about to show up. We're going to see if we can find a thicker patch of yarrow down here. Maybe some plantain for his bite. Although I don't, well no, look. One little self-heal right here. I have videos on her. One little self-heal. All these little baby first-year mulleins doing their mighty best over here. Old logging road is what we're following. That's always what we're following up here. Boy, there are strawberries aplenty up here. If they, these little alpine strawberries, they just don't put off very much of nothing. That's okay. We love her anyways. Almost looks dried out in the field out there. I can see the yarrow from here. Unless it's not yarrow. It's okay. We know a better place. Oh, there's a decent little... See, look, it looks dried out there. But along this little stretch right here, there's even some in the shade. You want to gather here, or you want to gather at the other place? Yeah. Okay. We're going to start that, so. It's along the road, but I found a decent little patch of self-heal, and I'm going to take advantage of the situation. Self-heal is a really important one. For me, I need the AMPK pathway support for like a weird genetic mutation I live with. So when I find her, I harvest her. And what's really cool about self-heal is because she's a mint, she spreads from rhizomes. So me harvesting what I need doesn't like impact the population for next year. In fact, there are some studies that say they makes it spread more, right? So I'm gonna sit this up here. We'll see. I want to hand it to my husband, and he's going to see if he can sit it on the ground in such a way that you can, yeah, maybe on the car, I don't know. But we're doing it live, and this is my cool sun protection umbrella. I guess you could just follow me like normal, I guess. See, she's over here hiding.
It's flipped weird, so I can't see.
Oh, here, we'll flip it around. Here. I'm going to hit that button for him. There you go. And you can just collapse those if we're not using them. So she's right here. And I'll pick her. Show you. There she is. I have like detailed videos on self-heal. But I'm gonna get what I can. And I saw that she's down the whole stretch and up the way a little bit. She's in the mint family. And she's one of a handful of herbs that can upregulate your AMPK pathway. You probably don't know what that is unless you've watched my video on it. But your body primarily runs off of glucose.
And then as a backup, it runs off of fat metabolism. And the AMPK pathway is like a train switch. If you run out of glucose because you're under eating carbohydrates, because everybody thinks that's what they should do now, then your body turns on fat metabolism, but it's a hard process on your body. It's meant for backup energy, increases cortisol, but it can turn this pathway on. The AMPK pathway is what differentiates if you're using glucose or if you're using fat metabolism. I live with primary carnitine deficiency mutation, which means I piss out carnitine, that I eat, which comes from meat. Carnitine is a crucial essential acid where your muscle gets energy from fat. So my body, in fact, cannot kick over to fat metabolism, and something like fasting would fucking kill me. So would being a vegan, because I need all the carnitine. But self-heal supports that pathway in me. It doesn't fix my mutation, but she just helps my body process a little bit better. She also tastes amazing as a tea. She's like a cross between raspberry leaf and chamomile in some way, even though she doesn't taste like chamomile. It's just that she's very naturally sweet. And I like her. I like her a lot. But there won't be enough here that I'll use it for tea. I'm going after the tincture because I'll get the most bang for my buck, the largest usable amount, and this little harvest will go, oh sorry, I stepped on you, will go a lot further. And I do not tan because I have no melanin production capacities in my body beyond freckles. So that's why I've got this really cool umbrella, because, you know, sunblock's gonna make you die of cancer, not the sun. Okay. This road is so seldomly driven that she's not even dusty. Not even dusty. I missed the season at my house. It was a weird season. I went out and looked when she's normally there, and I was like, oh, guess I should have checked a week or so sooner. So, very happy to find her here. She's straight up on the road. She's a mint, so she sends runners, and that's why she's all down. It means this root network is probably the whole way down. Oh, I mean, they can spread from seed too, you know. Hey, nettle, and her nettle seeds. Right in my face. She doesn't have much sting this time of year, if any. See? Now, this nettle seed tincture, or this nettle seed, my brain, I'm going to tell you that you can make a tincture before. She's not quite dark enough yet. I'd wait till she was all the way. But, I mean, you can, but you can harvest this to make a tincture for pretty serious adrenal and thyroid support, but it's not as benign as drinking, say, nettle infusion. Get out of here, little bug. You may not live in my mouth. You're tougher. You're You're a tougher, my friend. Okay. That's enough for about a quart. Which is a little bit more right there, just for good measure. Now I might find a patch later on. Got about half a quart left, so a pint. I got about a pint left. 2 cups. At the house, so a quart probably get me through the winter. That's tincture math. Guess I didn't look at the other side. Whew, I am sweating on the back of my neck. All right, we're gonna go onward. All right. Other half's gonna harvest some yarrow here for me. Yarrow, she is one of those herbs that even though I have a lot at the house, every season, no matter what, I will get enough to make at least a half gallon worth of tincture. And what's funny is we use her more externally than anything else. Burns, cuts, whatever, you know, serious injuries, pimples, acne. We even use her, like, if you have, like, hemorrhoids. Just, I mean, yarrow stops bleeding. I use it on my goats. I use it on my animals. I use it on myself. And so we never not get her. So we'll get at least a gallon's worth of yarrow here. I'm hiding under my umbrella. You can see my umbrella shade. She's hiding in here with the pennistomes and some stinking daisies, and there's some paintbrush over there and a little bit of everything right here in this little, looks like an old quarry that they blew for rock at some point. Good snake territory too, but I mean, we have plenty of rattlesnakes around here, but they don't want to bite you. They warn you, and usually the only time they like bite you without warning is if you somehow happen to step on them. But they would have to not see you, and you would have to not see them. So I know people always freak out because I'm wearing a dress and sandals in nature. I'm all right. Haven't died yet in the almost 40 years of existing that way. I had a grandma that my great-grandma got bit by a rattlesnake. And she was a bigger gal, so I think that saved her life. But she walked like 2 miles down to where the road was, and she was going to head to town. Got bit by a snake. Walked back up to 2 miles, which is definitely against what you should do because it makes your heart pump. Told her piece of shit husband, who we're pretty sure she killed later, that she got bit by a snake, and he was like, what do you want me to do about it? So she walked back down, killed the snake, brought it to the hospital, which took her 5 hours to get there, and she did not die from the snake bite. She did die later, a few years later, from an enlarged heart, which was probably from the snake bite, but that's crazy shit. It's crazy shit. Nice little patch right here. I'm just watching. He offered. There's a nice little patch right here, hun. Actually, a lot of you might not know this, but if you've been following me for the last decade plus, Wild Apothecary, Kent here is a master harvester, and he, even if I don't have a camera, he always out-harvests me, so, you know, he makes quick work of it, usually. The cool thing about yarrow is she also spreads from underground through rhizomes. And she won't grow back from where you cut her like a new bloom that season, so there's no reason not to take her down the way he's taken her. Whew, she smells strong this year. I think it's because we didn't get a ton of rain this spring like we should have. And that can make plants be a lot stronger, you know. It's also like why, let's say, like catnip you get from the wild will be way more sedating than catnip that you grow in your garden, because she's tough in the wild and she had to adapt. All right, I think we're gonna head up about, what is that, another 5 miles or more away, up by a lake. And check out up there to see what's popping around. And then we came across this nice little patch of yarrow, so that's marked off our list. I think at this point we're mainly just getting some St. John's wort, right? Yeah. Alrighty, we're gonna get back on the road.
But if it's thick, you do it. I can't like pull this hostage or nothing.
Well, we are on our way up by a lake, but we're not gonna go to the actual lake. Too many tourists, but we're gonna go to the big bad scary roads that most people avoid unless they're up here like hunting and stuff. Most of the time you won't really find anybody but locals there because they're bumpy and not maintained. Get off me, bug. No sir. Jesus, ant. Got him. Almost died from an ant just then. I don't know if you can hear, but those June bugs are just screaming from the heat. I am not adapted. I grew up here. I'm in Northeast Oregon, high mountain desert. It's common for it to be 100 plus degrees, and I used to just exist in it like nothing, but now I'm like at the top of the mountain, it's 78 degrees out, and I am sweating out my neck. Dreaming about living on like a rainy island somewhere in Europe that's not in the Mediterranean because it needs to be cold and wet year round. Soon we're about to come to a pretty spectacular view. So we're deep in the woods, but we're a lot higher up than it seems. Those are the eagle caps way over there. Still snow on them. Huh. It'll let me show them over there. Let me zoom in. I think I do this to zoom in. There they are. Yeah, we're pretty high up here. Call it high mountain desert for nothing. St. John's wort growing along the highway here. Jesus, my The guy was like, oh, I guess I should have to drive on my side. Random California plates. Now in the springtime, this would be all solid wild onions. I can still see them up there all dried out. If you felt, you know, up to the task, you could go dig about 1 million wild onion bulbs, but you could get all the seeds too. I mean, just this whole valley, the whole way, all of that, wild onions, all of it. And if we keep going, we'll come up to a lake where they make you pay to park and everything. But we're gonna jump off the road. You usually tell the quality of the road by how much the bells ring. All this, wild onions, wild onions. You see all those little, looks like white dried out things? Wild onions. Ptolemy's onions to be exact, and they only grow in the Blue Mountain Range, but they're just a little wild onion. Sold little elderberry tree. Elderberry bush. Hasn't become a tree yet. Oh, look at all the St. John's wort hasn't bloomed. We might find a patch that's bloomed, but those ones have not bloomed yet. That's how fast, like, the elevation changes too. That sideways breeze feels nice though. More horse mint. Big patch right there. There's a yellow dock on that side. Opens up again. Oh yeah, nice elderberry grove down there. I think we've gotten from there before. Oh, look at all that. There's a bunch of monkshood down there. Blooming. Maybe we find some not so far. Show them. All this yellow dock. It would suck to dig that yellow dock root up ground so hard. I don't even try with yellow dock root unless it's by the river. because then you can just pull it out of the ground. It's wet. A little bit of St. John's wort blooming right there. Lupine. Huckleberries everywhere. Whole freaking grove of horse mint. She's aggressive. She's from here, but she acts like an invasive.
It's dusty as well.
No, yeah, usually it's way dustier. Some of these roads are so bad that sometimes we have like injured vehicles with the level of dust. You have to like change your air filter like every week sometimes. It's so bad. When we lived up there in Elgin, those like dust puddles, it was crazy. Yarrow's real small this year. She didn't put on a show like she normally does, size-wise. But what I am noticing is a ton of Pearly Everlasting, even though she hasn't bloomed yet. She seems to be showing up pretty aggressively. You can see it's just a washed out road where it makes creeks and stuff in the springtime. But it's like if you come up here in early June, you can't get past much because there'd be snow all over the road still. Yeah, all that St. John's wort's not blooming at all. We'll have to go down lower. Yeah. So this was just checking on the road trip. What's funny is down by our place, which is still around 2,000 feet elevation, St. John's wort is pretty much done for, season-wise. Alright, we're going to turn around and head down lower. And now we found the elusive chocolate ice cream cone in the woods. There's a tiny little store on the top of the mountain here. Everything is overpriced, and they don't have very much. And chocolate ice cream is like one of my least favorites, but I forgot to pack lunch, or just didn't, and I could feel that I needed something for blood sugar, and I didn't want to eat like normal gas station candy, so I'm all in for ice cream as we go on our way. To get St. John's wort. That's what we're doing. And then
we're heading home. So, but I just wanted to show that I found the ice cream cone plant. And that's what we did. Have I mentioned how much I love this man? We have been together for, well, almost 20 years now. And it's our 13th or 14th anniversary is coming up here, handful of days. Like married wise.
11th.
11th? Is it? No, it was
2012. 13th.
13th. Neither of us know. And he's just like, you can hang it under your umbrella and eat an ice cream cone while I get this St. John's wort. I have a lot of St. John's wort tincture, but I want the blooms to make an oil for my dad who had a horrible shingles outbreak. And I'd like him to start using it topically and consistently to help prevent them. Because I suspect it's going to happen again. No. That guy right there does a lot for me. We do a lot for each other. We spend like every waking moment around each other too. It's been like that for the past 20 years. For the most part. The last decade at least. You know, we work together, we live together, we exist together. When 2020 happened and everyone like got a divorce because they had to be around their spouse all the time, for us it was nothing different. He wasn't even in the camera the whole time, I'm just showing you the trees. This thing has a gimbal on it, so it's kind of weird how it goes to show everything. It is hot. See that sun? It is hot. Hot, hot, hot. It's like 3 o'clock or something too, I think. I don't know, I haven't looked at a watch since we got up here. It's something o'clock. It's something hot. Something hot o'clock. So yeah, I guess we will have our 13th wedding anniversary on my 40th birthday, because we got married on my birthday. Just like my mom did and her grandma did, and it's always on the 17th. Thank you. Big old bumblebee on the horse mint. Alrighty folks, I'm going to swing this around and I'm going to try to make it swing around. There we go. Hi. So, face has probably got chocolate ice cream on it. I haven't done a check. I think that's it for the day. I think we've got what we came to for the most part, or came for. What we came to, whatever. And we're going to head down the mountain now. Head back home to the mountains where we live, which is a little bit lower, and, you know, get about our day and all that stuff. I really appreciate you joining me, being here with me, spending some time with me. If you would like to support my capacity to do these videos or any other type of videos I do, and, you know, keep a little bit of gas in my tank and, you know, some tea in my
cup that I brought with me, but it's actually iced tea. Consider becoming a member. It's just a way to throw me literally less than $1 a month to support my capacity to exist. You do get early access to some videos like this one. Members will get early access to this one. You also get early access, or you get a Sundays only Q&A thingy-mabob for health. But if you can't become a member, I don't even want you to worry about it, because I do the Friday health Q&As that are public for all, and I will always release these videos eventually, so it's not a paywall. Something just bit me. It is a little bitty baby time wall. And if you can't do that, or even if you can, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and share. Sharing is super important because it helps people realize that they're smart enough that they can just get out here on the land, and it tells the algorithm that I'm a pretty cool person. So thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.